What's up, music fans of the internet? I'm Derek.
And I am Kevin.
And together we're last week's album. We're bringing you the only reviews with two different views. And this week we're talking about Pennied Days by Night Moves. And we're asking the big question, does their psychedelic country pay off? Cheers, Kevin, everyone at home.
Cheers, Derek, and everyone at home.
Night Moves is a Minneapolis-based band. This is their second full-length album, which follows their 2011 release, Colored Emotions. As they developed, rather than developing their skills through live performance, they've opted more for extensive practice and meticulous writing. So they're back again with kind of a fuller sound from their more country-leaning debut. So without further ado, let's talk about what it sounds like. Kevin, what'd you think?
Derek, I thought this sounded like Ryan Adams and management have a sleepover in the planetarium.
I think Night Moves sounds like Broken Bells, Band of Horses, and My Morning Jacket playing country songs on the beach at night.
Wow, I can hear all those now that you say them. Good calls.
All right, so let's talk about some highlights. Kevin, what'd you think?
Derek, track-wise, I thought the highlights were Leave Your Light On, Hiding in the Melody, and Only to Live in Your Memories. Leave Your Light On is sort of chugging cinematic foot tapper that mixes classic folk with contemporary country and rock. Hiding in the Melody is, it's a brave move to put a sprawling 7+ minute track in the middle of your album, and they do it masterfully. So hats off to you guys. And then Only to Live in Your Memories has this sort of spacey vibe with swirling synths, programmed beats, which I think this was the only track I heard that on. And this sort of overall metaphysical message all came together nicely in this song. What about you?
I totally agree with you on To Live in Your Memories. Other highlight tracks, Carl Sagan, the album opener. This had a dancey beat, hazy synths, plodding bass guitar, occasional falsetto vocals, and some really interesting electric guitar work. Border on Border, I loved the synth and electric guitar hooks. I thought it sounded almost like a bubbly Death Cab for Cutie. And again, Only to Live in Your Memories. I thought it was an intriguing, more heavy reliance on the electronic hooks and instruments, like you said. The electronic beats, I thought they really provided a segue to the real drums, which I thought was a really interesting nuance there.
Lowlights. I didn't think any songs in particular were bad or slow or shouldn't have been on the album. The biggest lowlight for me was the earnestness of the singing here. It can wear on your soul a little. There's not a whole lot of levity or lightness. It's all very sort of deep and heavy. The other thing is it also felt just a little too short. I would have preferred one or two more tracks. I want to hear a little bit more from these guys on this album. What about you?
The only potential lowlight I kind of thought was actually one of your highlights, Hiding in the Melody. I totally agree with you. I think it was very bold to do that, or attempt a 7-minute song. Overall, I was really into it. I was thinking, man, this really kind of starts to go into some interesting directions. But at that point, I looked down and I'm only 5 minutes into a 7+ minute song. I was like, whoa, what's going on here? But again, it was like so well done and enthralling. It took me 5 minutes to even realize that. So I think that goes to show something here. So let's jump to the overall rating and ask the big question. Does Night Moves Psychedelic Country pay off? Kevin, you want to start us off?
Sure. I will start with the question, does their psychedelic country pay off? I think absolutely, with dividends. I think they sound nostalgic without being derivative. They have this sort of inventive take on classic pop and folk. Clearer vocals and a little more folk than their debut. Both nice things. They do a really nice job of exploring the central theme of finding yourself. And then their style overall is just really interesting. It's expansive and cinematic. There's a lot of sort of tones and moods and layers they create. And they paint in these really broad strokes that bring together genres and even eras, creating what I would like to call future classic folk rock, if you will. So I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed this album. What about you, Derek?
One takeaway I had that almost kind of seems to touch on a lot of the points you just made was, I don't know, it had a similar feel to me to Ray LaMontagne's Ouroboros. So very similar to this whole album concept. At one point I almost felt like Hiding in the Melody being that 7+ minute one. I almost felt like that could have been the start of the B-side potentially. Although, you know, from a numeric standpoint, that would not be in the middle. Yeah, I totally agree with you. It did have that, you know, expansive type feel. You know, it may have felt like it was kind of meandering, but I think it, you know, they were just trying to build to a bigger picture, if you will. It was interesting because there was kind of more of that pop vibe towards the beginning, but as the album proceeded, the country roots really kind of showed through more. Yeah, I totally agree with you on the overall rank, 4 out of 5. So with Kevin's, that's 8 out of 10. So go check out Pennied Day by Night Moves. Don't forget to subscribe here on the YouTube channel or the podcast. Thanks again for joining us. Last week's album, we're bringing you the only reviews with 2 different views. As always, I'm Derek.
I'm Kevin.
Cheers, guys.